And we are back. School closures often mean idle time, limited supervision, and missed growth opportunities for many students. However, one program is working to change that by transforming days off into days of creativity, learning, and inspiration. Leap School's Out Theater program uses the power of the arts to provide students with a safe, structured space to build confidence and find their voice. And joining me now, we've got the performer of Leap Artists Live. We got Sierra Nelson, and thank you, Sierra, for being with us.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here at BronxNet.
Yes, we're glad to have you here and sharing a little bit about the program. And obviously, this program is special, right? Because it impacts young people in a special kind of way, but then it also has the opportunity of shaping leaders for the next generation.
Absolutely. Leap Artists Live is an award-winning musical theater and arts and education program supported by Leap. And since 2019, we have been traveling to schools in all of the boroughs and performing these beautiful musical theater pieces written by Miss Kathy D. Harrison, our playwright and director and composer and choreographer and all the things. And these stories are intentionally the untold stories of underrepresented voices that tend to be marginalized, tend to come from the BIPOC community, tend to come from women, tend to come from queer folk. And she creates a situation where these children feel represented in the musical theater that she creates, and they learn crazy amounts of history through the art that she creates and that Leap and Leap Artists Live bring to them where they're already at. So it's a beautiful program.
So the impact that's felt by students in participating in such in a program such as this, from your perspective, what's that impact like?
Oh, it's amazing. Because when I first started, I was also a little worried about how well they would take it. History tends to be difficult to teach to children without them kind of feeling like they're being lectured, and they sometimes tend to get bored. And what Leap Artists Live and Leap as a program have done is created pieces that focus on the youth of history and remind the youth of today that not only do they have a voice, but their voice is powerful and they can affect change as soon as they make the choice to do so.
Yeah, we talk about affecting change. We talk about social justice, right? Because you got some of those themes that are really incorporated in there. Talk about that and really how students are actually exposed to this and really takes them and propels them further.
One of our flagship pieces is called The Movement, and it is about the Children's Crusade of 1963, which was a children-led, adult coached, but children-led protest in which children recognized that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had been put in jail, and they realized that the civil rights movement that had a lot of momentum was slowing down because he was not free to roam about. And they decided, well, we don't necessarily need to wait for the adults to affect change. We can do this on our own. And I swear it's like magic. Every time we perform this piece, it's a shorter version of the piece. The original piece is 2 hours long, but we go into schools and we perform a 45-minute version of the piece with about a 10-minute talk back to see what they learned. And every time we perform this piece, every single time, when the kids hear how old some of these kids were, that that the youngest kid arrested that day was like less than 5 years old, that there were 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds and 12-year-olds, so many kids being able to affect change in Birmingham, Alabama on a huge scale. It's like a light switch goes off in their brains and they realize that could be me. I can affect change in my own community if I choose to do so. It's an amazing experience.
For the kids who participate in the arts, obviously it's quite transformative, right? In the life of a young person to be able to participate in the arts. I've said on the show several times that when we look at what goes on in school budgets, the first thing that gets cut, music, arts, sports, right? But the value of it, speak to it.
Yes. So what we find and what Leap finds, as we believe in the power of art, is that art, and theater in particular, but art in general, it helps children find their own unique voice. It helps foster a sense of leadership in their communities, and what I find to be the most important, it helps them think critically about the world around them and not just accept everything, and not only ask the question why, but how.
Right.
And we find that theater, even small things like trying to figure out what was my character's motivation, and in our situation, it's not just a character. I am often playing a real person. I might be playing Ruby Bridges. I might be playing Gwendolyn Webb, one of the children who participated in the Children's Crusade in 1963. And you start to think about, how did they get from point A of, I'm your regular high schooler, to, no, I'm actually an activist, and I don't have to wait to be an adult to be an activist. So it truly helps engage them. It really engages them in a way that I find that sitting in a classroom occasionally just doesn't reach. But art, not only do they feel like they have their own voice, they think about the voices that came before them, and they're more willing to start listening.
Earlier, you talked about a performance that could go from 2 hours long to really 45 minutes if you go into a school.
Yeah.
What's it like? Give me an idea as to the rehearsal and getting ready behind the scenes, because there's a lot of work that goes on, but these young people are committed.
They are. So Miss Kathy D. Harrison, who wrote all of these plays, she has her 2-hour version that is used for things like the New York Theater Festival, and they're much more open community. She's great at truncating the version to the most important points, and her writing style tends to focus on repetition of things we need to remember. So when we want them to remember certain dates and certain areas and certain times and certain names, she will intentionally have the song repeat 1963 or Birmingham, Alabama over and over and over again. And by the end of the show, we ask them those questions. So where were we? What were we doing? What was her name? Why did she make this decision? Or why did he make this decision? And they can immediately recall it. And the rehearsal process tends to be hit the ground running. But I do think that for both as an adult performer and also for kids, I think that also really works out the brain muscle of, really works out like the neuroplasticity of like really being able to like remember a lot of historical facts and recall them at a moment's notice.
For students who participate in the program and then move on, what's it like for them? I mean, obviously a great springboard into career in the arts.
It is a fabulous springboard to the career in the arts, and I find that it makes young kids and the youth reconsider what a career in the arts can look like. But I'm even more impressed by the students who don't necessarily want a career in the arts, but the arts functioned as a springboard for a different career. Sometimes it's a career in STEM, sometimes it's a career in historical archiving, sometimes it's a career in politics or civics. You know, it like I said, it really stresses the ability of art to lead you to other places. And I just find it to be so amazing, because I find that kids sometimes tend to feel like they're not being listened to. And like I said, theater helps them create their unique voice. And when they feel like they have a voice and they feel like they have leadership skills and capabilities, they start to be able to not only lead other people, but also lead themselves and realize, I might not be a singer or a dancer or an actor, but I could be an organizer. I could be a community organizer. I actually am really interested in politics. I actually see injustice in the world, even though I'm only 16, and I believe that I can make a difference.
Right. Sierra, somebody's out there watching saying, listen, maybe I can get connected, be a part. Who's eligible?
Well, our goal is to make theater and the arts as accessible as possible. The LEAP's School Out Theater program is a program where we are going to be turning time when school is closed and kids tend to be at home chilling on TikTok. We're trying to turn those days off into days of opportunity for connection, growth, and learning. So we, with the All Stars Project, are collaborating, and with a few other theaters. We're also going to be at the Hudson Guild Theater and eventually at Host Community College. We are creating situations where we're creating public shows where we are going to bus the kids in, we are going to provide food, we're going to have talkbacks and workshops afterwards, and it's all going to be free. You know, realistically, they just need to be willing to go. Their teachers and their principals need to be on board, and we're going to make some magic happen for them, and we're going to create a fabulous opportunity for growth.
Sierra, keep making the magic happen. You're doing a great job, and thank you so much for the work that goes on with LEAP.
Thank you so much for having us today.
All righty. Well, listen, if you want more information, get connected. Visit the website, leapnyc.org. And, of course, follow them on Instagram at leapnyc. Encourage you, don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up. We'll be back right after this.